First, if they are storytellers, they can explain to the patients what's going on without using jargon. Because once they understand the what, now we got to wrap them around to understand how we do that. And that's part of building rapport. Here's the catch. I just don't transcribe. Transcription does not give you enough. Why? Transcription does not give you tone and clarity. It does not give you emotional connection. That's one aspect of AI. How do we, part of the storytelling is having the tools. So a good storyteller will have excellent tools. A little tip I would give to all the doctors here. Set up a system with your treatment plan coordinators.
AI is everywhere. You cannot escape it. So why don't we learn to embrace it and use it to help us make our lives easier? Like in our personal lives, we already use things like ChatGPT to just save us time, make convenient decisions, get some tips or recipes, or sometimes I take a photo of a salad bowl and ask, how many calories is this? And of course, we all use ChatGPT to diagnose the medical conditions that we think we have. And that's life, and our patients are doing the same thing. But now, when we bring AI into the clinic, you guys already know I love using AI to write my notes. I absolutely hate writing notes with a passion. You've heard me speak about this before. We did an episode, How to Never Write Notes Again. And on the back of that, we created on the app a dedicated space for all the digital TCO users that started to use AI to write their notes because they hated, like me, writing notes. To this day, for all my consultations, I use digital TCO and I absolutely love it. So I'm absolutely sold by how AI can make our lives easier. And of course, we have other facets of AI like radiographic interpretation. And we'll be talking about that in this episode today. Now, today's guest is Dr. David Amador, and the way that he's using AI is really clever. Like, I'm very impressed in the different ways he uses it and more ideas on how it can be our friend and not our foe. But I love that he's using it to audit his communication, i.e. the AI is listening to his conversations with patients, he's feeding back some data, like for example, what treatments patients go ahead with, for example, and he's able to then audit and continually improve the way he communicates with his patients. It's really fascinating. So let's explore how AI can help you in dentistry through this episode with Dr. David Amador. Let's join the main interview of this interference cast, and I'll catch you in the outro. Dr. David Amador, welcome to the podcast, my friend. Where are you from?
Man, Jazz, thank you so much for having me on. I've heard your podcast a couple of times, and to be part of this like a global communication and group is amazing. So actually hailing from South Florida, where it's always warm, the palm trees just drop coconuts, and that's pretty much what you get.
Are you in Miami? Is that where you are?
So I'm about 15 miles north of Miami.
I mean, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so it's this weekend, because it's Memorial Day weekend here in the States. Basically, we're going out. So, Florida, you have the Atlantic on one side. You got the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America, whatever it's called now, however we're calling it, on the other side, which the water right now, it's just beautiful with sunset. So we do every year, we do Memorial Day. We do 4 days out there with the family on the beach and have a great time. So looking forward to it. So today, when we're done with the day, it's emergencies. I'm done. I'm out. Goodbye.
That sounds absolutely spectacular. David, tell us about yourself in terms of you. Are you a practice owner? Are you associate? And then I want to learn more about, because the theme of today is how you are using AI. It's 2025. What are the different ways you're using AI? I'll share my AI journey with you and experiences, but I want to have this just like, a little chat with you about the different ways we're using AI, but just tell us about you and how you evolved into this position.
Yeah. So actually me and my wife were partners in our office. We have a 9-chair office in South Florida. Midtown Dental Studio is the name of it. It's also our handle on YouTube and everything. And we are the owners. So we were moonlighting for probably about 6 years in the States, working for other dentists. And we just got tired of stagnant growth, in the sense of, the old mindset of if you build it, they will come. It is not like that anymore, unless you build it in the right spot. Like a rural community, you're the only one there, and you have this massive sign that with 60,000 cars, only way it's going to happen. Nowadays, if you're not working on all forms of social media, that you're not putting a percent of your net into marketing and reevaluating that marketing and figuring out how it's hitting and working the triangle, as we call it. The base is going to be your website. How good is your SEO? And then everything you do just funnels into where everything lands. So we got tired of it.
Is this all stuff that you picked up? Like, is this like you're talking all the way? A lot of dentists don't know what SEO is, right? A lot of dentists don't think much about their website, and you seem very switched on. Is this something that you had prior to joining dentistry, or is it something that you had to develop as part of becoming a business owner in dentistry?
It's part of becoming a business owner, Jazz. So a lot of dentists think, man, I'm a dentist. And this is the hardest part of dentistry. You come into dentistry, you graduate, you're a doctor, you're a physician, you're like, the pinnacle of the groups you're with. But when you come into the office, you could see the problems with patients and you understand the problems because you've gotten CEs with Spear or whoever else. But now the problem is everybody thinks you could see the problems within the business, within your employees and your team. And let's go to the doctor. He's got a DDS. He's got a graduate degree. He can figure out my emotional problems. And then what do we do as doctors? We seek help from other doctors. We join more clinical groups, more study clubs, and it just becomes drill more, fill more, take more teeth out. But none of the other HR problems are being talked about. None of this conversation of growth is being talked about. So what is the nuance? Then we go to another CE course. And one of my favorite ones is they go, what's your new patient and what's your collection? And I could tell you the rest, but they're not talking about how do you keep patients in? The third part, how do you close the back door? And that's all about team. Wrong finger. Let me put this finger, not that one. It's all about team. And how do you build team? How do you build culture? How do you build your own internal? So part of that is I'm a coach in this stuff. I'm part of the Bulletproof podcast. So they have a really good mastermind. And I joined up with that about probably 3 years ago. And that journey just changed from took the clinical hat, put it aside, and it just started being part of a group of organization of people that are all having HR issues, business issues. And you start feeding off of these different things and you start learning. So my journey with AI started 3 years ago with them. I'm here signed up for how do I grow my practice? Give me the marketing hack 101 that's going to make me scale from 10 new patients to 55. I need to get to 100 in 5 years. Give it to me. And my first year was a very humbling experience because I had to there isn't a hack. You mean I can't just turn on this Google ad that's going to bring in thousands of patients?
Like a machine, you put some money in and churn some out.
Exactly. And you know what? And I'm gonna back up. There is ways to do that, but what's going to be your retention? Because hey, listen, I spent when I had signed up my first year, I had signed up with one group. Not going to say the name. It hits really hard on Facebook and Instagram for dentists. They are really good at marketing. So if I say the name, everybody's going to see that pop up. And that's not going to happen. But I was dropping about $7,000 a month, and on 1 month we peaked at 85 new patients. So cost of acquisitions with everything, probably about 180 for each new patient. So cost of acquisition is cost to acquire one patient, but the retention rate for these new patients was stagnant. It was about 6%. It was basically not fitting the genre of the patient we were looking for. We had people coming off the streets thinking everything was going to be free. So it's whoa. So, there are ways to get patients in, but the question is, what's the return going to be on? Can you actually help these patients? Or is it false profiting? You're being a false prophet, selling them free ideology and free treatment and getting their hopes up and then destroying them. So it's a fast way to zero. So it's finding that cutting edge. And then that's where there's so much different tools now. You don't need to know how to do it. You just got to understand it. And there's so many tools now to teach you how to do it. And it's just simply by open up ChatGPT. Hey, can you explain SEO?
I mean, David, the whole ChatGPT thing, one thing I love doing now is I'm driving to work and I'll switch on the page feature. You just have a nice conversation with ChatGPT, right? And they're coming back with you. And I love my conversation with ChatGPT, I say, today I was thinking okay, I'm making a hiring decision right now, right? I'm really stuck between two fantastic candidates who to hire, right? And I said, okay, act like Mark Twain and Richard Branson had a baby and tell me that individual, how would they decide who to hire? And I had this lovely exchange.
So I use ChatGPT, very extensive. Actually, we do recordings in the office for presentations, for team training and everything. And then I plug it into custom algorithms in ChatGPT that we created based on several books, Multipliers, How to Win Friends and Influence, Dale Carnegie, The Art of Persuasion, The Art of the Deal, what's it called? So many different books, Traction,
Influence.
EOS. Exactly. So many different books that are all about the emotional arc that you connect with patients. How do you build rapport? And how I tell people is, how I tell my team and how I teach about this is you have to teach people how to become storytellers. First, if they are storytellers, they can explain to the patients what's going on without using jargon. Because once they understand the what, now we got to wrap them around to understand how we do that. And that's part of building rapport. Storytelling, it's like when you go buy a bottle of wine. Here in the States, we have Salames, and they will sell you on the terroir. Of the essence of where the berry's coming from. When you taste it, it tastes like black Korean and something like that, and you just get so sold on it that all of a sudden you're like, I'll take a case of that. That sounds amazing. Then you're like, whoa, but you already were so connected with what's going on, you didn't even look at the value. You didn't even look at the cost, because you had trust, rapport with the person. That's where storytelling comes in. Then after that, they built value in it. They didn't talk about like, we're going to do a surgical guide, a CT scan. No, they built value in the importance of the replacing of the tooth, which by that time you understood the long-term value of everything. So then you were now sold on it. And now the patient automatically enrolls for the treatment. So where does AI play in this? Based on these things, I literally use a special little recording device. It's called Plaude.
I just literally got mine last week.
Like this is first off, there's only one other friend of mine that's on the mastermind with a bulletproof, that I'm actually working with him, and we're doing a cross analysis. We're two different offices. I'm a PPO, fee for service. He's fee for service only. And we are doing like a big data group study. And we are using it to train our team members in handoffs and everything. And the whole idea is, can you train people up to be storytellers?
Wow.
So my whole analogy is, I believe we are too quick to judge and say, next, I got to get the next person. Instead of, if they have the right character, they fit our core values. Everybody thinks selling is a bad word, right? Listen, we sold each other so that we can communicate on a podcast. At the end of the day, we sell our family, we sell our wives, we sell our kids. It's all about training on how we get to that point to get the person to enroll in whatever it is. So with all the data that I collect from all the different presentation, hands off, because I just press, boom, turn it on. Then at the end of the day, I transfer it all to ChatGPT. And every bi-weekly, now what I'm starting to do now that I have about a month of data, the arc of all the problems that it's constantly seeing, I'm creating training programs every 2 weeks to do with a general team, to start building that storytelling.
Okay, so just to make it really tangible for those dentists who just are almost like scared of AI and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So Plaude, like you said, is a device that you can, like a lapel you can stick on. I literally just opened mine recently, unboxed it. I'm already heavy in AI in terms of how I write my notes and stuff.
That's one way we're doing it.
We'll talk about what you're using and whatnot and what I'm using. You're using it for analysis and data analysis to measure how good you are in terms of storytelling, not just you, but the entire team. And you have a metric. Okay, that's our North Star, storytelling and bringing value to your patients and how you communicate. That's wonderful. But the Plaude transcribes, and then you take that transcription to ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT already has that prompt you spoke about, which it knows what it's looking for, specific to what you said, and it kind of gives you a score. Have I got this right?
You got that 100%. But here's a catch. I just don't transcribe. Transcription does not give you enough. Why? Transcription does not give you tone and clarity. It does not give you emotional connection. It does not give you the emotions the patient will give you when they are scared, or it doesn't give you fight or flight. So I transcribe, and it's real quick, transcribe and put audio in. So based on how I have the whole program set up, which is real quick, boom, boom, boom. Hey, I want to set this up. Hey, Atlas, I call my Atlas. We'll have a whole conversation of how can I set this up based on XYZ's parameters I like to set up, and then I start inputting everything. And I give it little information. This patient didn't enroll, or this patient did enroll, but how can we change? What nuances can change, and how can we keep on pushing towards our North Star? And then we create analysis for each team member, because it remembers the name. And then what is the biggest metric to evaluate how the training is going? Treatment plan acceptance. How do you go? Because this is treatment plan acceptance is a very, very broad number depending on the practice you're talking to. If you're doing drill, fill, bill, just simple fillings, and especially, if you're doing even silver fillings, I don't know what they're doing, then you're definitely, in your insurance, you're definitely going to get 100% enrollment, because insurance fully covers that. But if you are doing heavy comprehensive, aligners, implants, veneers, all on X, you are doing a plethora of treatment in your armamentarium, and you are talking about how a patient to get them into the optimum stage of health once you've broken down what they're looking for. These treatment plans add up real fast with several stages. So you could see somebody that's just doing drill, fill, bill be at 90% acceptance. You can see somebody that is a heavy aligner office, heavy implant office, be within the 35%. So how do you take that office to get to 45, 50%? It's going to be now, how do you storytell? How do you connect to the patient? And how do you get the person that wasn't born a natural soccer player to become better than the average? Training. That's how most players are. Most players weren't born with a gift. They were born with grit and want. Everybody has it. So how do you turn that on? And the only way to do that is by constant analysis, and then knowing their traits, like, and figuring out their ticks, what motivates them, and then empowering that.
So essentially, if I was to grossly simplify it, the first way of using AI that you've discussed is wonderful. And essentially it is auditing, relentlessly auditing, and a feedback loop to make sure that you are striving towards better and better communication with the end goal of better conversion. Like you said, sales and conversion, these terms are often perceived as being dirty, but essentially you could have the best dentistry in the world. But if your patients aren't taking it and your preps are great, you look after your patients well, if they're not taking it, that's a disservice. If the patient actually benefit their health, benefit their appearance, all those things, but then they're going to the office down the road because you were not able to communicate effectively, right? So I'm just trying to basically convert some people who just see all these kind of themes that we're discussing as perhaps dirty, that actually these are important, not only for our business and keeping our staff happy and having a profitable business, but in making sure that you actually make an impact in the world.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. Like, at the end of the day, the most important thing, we all get caught up in treatment plan acceptance and sales and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's patient care. It's putting the patient first. That's what we all talk about. Like, at the end of the day, everything we're doing is to put the patient care first as if it was our own. And patients don't understand. If it was a boil on their hand that they saw that was getting worse and worse, they would go to a dermatologist right away. But since it's inside their mouth, they don't see it, they don't feel it, they don't have any issue. I think you're trying to sell me on something. You get that pushback. So that's one aspect of AI. How do we, part of the storytelling is having the tools. So a good storyteller will have excellent tools. Why? Because they're able to now imprint what they're trying to sell you on, which is the story and the mindset. So one of the AIs we use, which we were early onset and enroller of, is X-rays. So using Overjet. And the reason is, like, remember we talked about how do you train up the soccer player? Part of that is giving them tools so they can see what we're seeing. When we're talking about X-rays, like, unless you've been trained extensively on it, you're not going to pick it up. So part of that is like, okay, how can I get the person that either didn't go through a dental school, that didn't go through assisting school, and that we're training in the office, how can I get them to look at an X-ray? And if a patient asks them a question, be like, yeah, there's a cavity there. Subjective, we still need to get the doctor to verify it. But objectively, like, this X-ray is giving you over 1,000 secondary, over 1,000 recommendations of, like, if you went to go see 1,000 different dentists. So it's one of those first early onsets we brought in that really helped with treatment plan acceptance, but also really grow our team in the sense of getting a lot of gusto and wanting to talk to people, in the sense of, like, having that confidence, because now it's not like they're looking at it and it's no longer subjective. They're like, oh wait, yeah, I did see that spot. All right, yeah, it was there. I'm not going crazy. I know I'm not a doctor. And of course, it comes down to the doctor to finally give the diagnosis and stuff like that. But it always helps having that conversation prehand, because when they hear it from your team, let's be honest, who do they trust more? They really trust your team, because most of the time they think you're trying to upsell them. You walk out as a doctor and be like, yeah, that tooth here, it's got a big cavity on it. We're going to have to probably do a root canal. You walk out, they look at the assistant. Do I really need a root canal? What the hell is, what are they talking about? And then you see the X-ray and it's like, well, look at that. See that big red spot right there? That is the spot. Because,
So
we
just tell us
started.
about Overjet, because I know about Pearl, and so maybe
Very
Overjet
similar.
isn't as established. So basically, it takes your black and white radiographs, and sometimes you can have a huge, MO carries radiolucency, and you point it with your finger on the TV screen, and they're like squinting, and they're like, and it's obvious to you because you've seen a million of these, right? And so your acuity is wonderful when it comes to this. But I noticed that patients are like, wait, okay, I'll take your word for it, kind of thing. But recently I had a pneumothorax, spontaneous pneumothorax on
Oh
my
my
left lung,
gosh.
chest X-ray, and then this AI thing pops up showing it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And so that made me really understand, okay, this is what our patients think when it comes out in pretty colors, because it's a communication aid. It's like when you take an intraoral camera photo, it just gives you another data point and validates what we're seeing and communicates what we're seeing.
So it's so funny that you brought that up. And so in the medical field, part of this is you start following what's going on and what are the advancements. So in the medical field, it's become super proprietary, and that's proprietary, but it's been something that all the offices or hospitals are enrolling here. Why? Because so that way they can just increase the standard of care. They can make sure things aren't being missed. Why? Because radiologists might, only way to learn is like how we do. Consistent exposure. It's all about, like, how do you get good playing a game? Bro, it's all about reps, man. How many times you swing at a ball, how many times you keep kicking. So the more exposure, that clinical experience, they start seeing more. Well, this already has thousands and thousands of hours of clinical experience. So they're using that to reevaluate every diagnosis and make sure that patients are being treated properly. So in the field, with Overjet and Pearl, they're very similar. We went with Overjet just because we really like the program. At the end of the day, we also have that same availability with Overjet. So when you log in, boom, Morning Huddle pops up and it's like, hey, here are all the patients you were seeing today. Based on treatment plans that are in your PMS, this is the stuff that we should look at because subjectively, there could be stuff missing here. Missing gum disease, which is the number one reason for lawsuit in the United States of America. It's improper diagnosing a gum disease. The good old bloody prophy. That being said, cavities, early stages of decay. All these little nuances.
Quite classically, David, it's like the second distal of a second molar of the upper, and you're looking, and that's a classic one. In my career, look back and think, you know what? It wasn't so clear, but now a few years later, it's become bigger. And when you look back, it's yes, it was there, but it was so difficult to spot. And that's one reason I like the idea of using something like Overjet, for example. It helps the clinician. It's on the clinician side, but also it's helping to tell a visual story to the patient.
Yeah, and at the same time, it also helps with training. Like there's so many different aspects. Like I use it a lot for training. We enroll a new hygienist into the office. And 30, 60, 90 is very intense because our goal is not to have somebody wait for 3 years to get to where we want them to be. Ours is 90 days. If you can't get to 70% of where we need you to be, and we're gonna either have to reevaluate, or if you can't get there and you're just not that type of person, then okay, this is not a cultural fit. Because then we got to protect the team.
Hello, YouTube Protrusive. I know you're watching on YouTube, and I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. But I wanted to highlight, in case you don't know yet, we have an amazing viewing experience on protrusive.app, our website, our network, our platform. So I just want to spend a minute to show you what this looks like. On the left side, you see the navigation, and when you join the app, you get a 1-minute video tour of the entire network. Now, in terms of where the magic happens, that's in the Protrusive community, because you might come for the content, but you'll stay for the community of the nicest and geekiest dentists in the world. We have all these polls, we have a chat group, there's always active chats and dentists helping dentists. And really what I want to do is create a really supportive environment that's not like the environment we have on Facebook, and is built on the values of niceness and geekiness. If you are nice and geeky, you belong here. Now, to make this a safe space, we have a manual process of approval. We actually verify that you are a dental professional before you get in here. So we have hundreds of applicants a day. So if it's been about 2 days and you haven't heard anything, either something's in your junk or you need to reach out. If you're still waiting to join your tribe, email marie@protrusive.co.uk. That's MARI@protrusive.co.uk, and she'll investigate what's happened. Now, all the videos you have on YouTube are also on here, but you actually have some extra ones for free that you don't have on YouTube. So you get some bonus content that's not on YouTube. And actually for the future, I'm not taking things out of YouTube, but some things are not appropriate for the wider public, and I want to sort of safeguard that information, which is like dentist talk, if you like. So that's why a lot of the content is only here and not on YouTube. So you're kind of missing out if you're not on here. That's why I'd love for you to join there. And if you join one of our paid plans, then what you get is access to the CE quiz, like this one, and you can get CPD or CE certificates, and also you get our premium notes. So these are a great aid memoir or revision for an episode to really cement your learning. And whilst we have ads and YouTube places ads on YouTube, we don't have that on our network. So for the paid plan, you get to see all of the premium notes without any of the ads. And of course, you get to support Team Protrusive and help us to continue what we're doing. I'm just going to gloss over the Protrusive Vault, which has all our infographics and downloadables. These are all our masterclasses at this moment in time, and we're always planning to add more. And if you look at them, there's about 1, 2, 3, it's about 7 of them. But actually, if you look at the replay section, some of the live masterclasses that I've done and some of the training that people pay for on other websites is all on there, included as part of the masterclass subscription. And if you're a student, don't fear, we have a special section for you with all the student notes, which anyone can access. So for example, here is one on exodontia. So it's all there waiting for you on Protrusive Guidance. Please head over to the website, which is protrusive.app. Make an account on your browser. This could be Safari, Chrome, however you want to do it. And once you've made your login, then you can download the iOS or Android app and then log in through there. So the reason to make the subscription primarily on the website first is that you get access to a free trial, which you don't get if you do make an account on Android, iOS. If you make it on the website, you get access to the free trial, and you get our best price if you sign up through Protrusive.app. So our best deals and free trials are only on Protrusive.app. Of course, we always put the link below in the description. And thank you so much for enjoying our videos on YouTube. But it's now finally time to level up your experience. Back to the episode.
That's a Genghis Khan way, man. I love that, because it's like patients who look after themselves and they put because we know what perio is, right? Yes, there's a huge genetic component, but when a patient looks after themselves and they show buy-in and then they value their healthcare, those are the best patients to treat, right? Yeah. They're the best cases for the future implants, future cosmetic stuff. And I love that way of thinking, David.
Without a doubt. And so that's one of the things you have to protect. You have to just not just protect the patients, but you got to protect your team. You get the wrong person in that doesn't value anything that's being done, doesn't value care or health, they're not going to take on to the enrollment of what the office culture is, which then brings down the care for the patients. So you got to protect them. So with the program, like we could literally go over, hey, look, this is what's going on with the perio. This is what's going on here. There's bone loss here. It's no longer subjective. Was it a 3 that you probed or 2? Do I need to go back and check? When I could just look at it on the program and be like, ooh, that's 5 millimeter bone loss there. It's a lot of attachment loss. And we're talking about, and then of course with scans and everything, be like misalignment, group function. Are we sure we're talking about just a regular prophy, And photos, he has no recession. I think there might be, pretty sure there's a very active pocket going on there. So, of course, I'm not judgmental in front of a person, but it allows us to like, okay, let's reevaluate. How can we do it? Because, an easy way to break somebody down is be over their shoulder every 5 seconds. Be like, you're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. Micromanaging them. At the same time, helping benefit the patient. So that's one of the really good little side pocket tools that we have for AI. That's an easy start for enrollment. Brilliant. For new offices or just general dentists and period.
Sounds great. And so I'm really intrigued by notes, right? So I've gained back so many hours, right? In terms of note writing, now I'm using about 2 ways at the moment. There's digital TCO and there's dental audio notes I'm using at the moment. Okay. Now I've got the Ploud. The Ploud, when I bought it, actually came up as a Facebook ad, and it suggested had this module for healthcare. So you haven't mentioned whether you're using the Ploud to actually write your notes for you.
I haven't. Basically, what I do with my notes, I just put it through ChatGPT. I have a sub prompt that's just created for my new patients of how the algorithm is on the note, and I'll just record it on Plod, and then I'll just drop it into ChatGPT. So at the end of the day, I just boom, 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 or my aesthetic consults, and I've been just doing that, and then I just drop it into my PMS. Because no matter unless a program connects straight to your PMS, you're still dragging, dropping, and putting in. So my whole thing is like, how can I do everything without having a million subscriptions? Because it also starts adding up.
Yep.
And
hey guys, it's Jazz interfering here with a reminder that if you're not using AI notes already, you are absolutely wasting time. You're wasting your life away. You're wasting precious time away from your family and all your hobbies, staying at the clinic late after everyone leaves, try and get everything watertight. And you know how there's like 2 types of people, right? There's those people who have got like 20 miles of range left on their car and they'll be like, yeah, I'll be fine. And those other group of people who've still got like, half the tank full or half the charge, and they're already thinking about, where am I going to stop to refuel? Now, in the same way with dental notes, I found 2 different types of dentists. Dentist 1, who will want to make sure that every aspect of their notes is absolutely perfect. And so they're the ones who labor over it and stay behind and tinker and edit and make sure that everything is just spot on. That's really draining. The other type of dentist who does the bare minimum and occasionally might miss the opportunity to write notes. And it genuinely is the least favorite thing in the world for this dentist. Like even dentist 1 hates it, but dentist number 2 is struggling to make time for it. Both these dentists will benefit from using AI to write their notes. I also used AI to write my letters for me. Now, I've done some review videos last year comparing some of the main AI note takers out there, and you know that I love digital TCO. When they initially introduced it, they introduced Jazz Mode, which is basically it listens to the entire consultation and writes your notes for you. Thank you, Kevin, for listening to me and building that feature into it. Now it's just called exam notes. But I like the fact that we as Protrusive had a role to play. Now, because we helped Kevin to develop what digital TCO has become today, he gives you a very generous discount. You get 4 weeks free trial and you get their lowest pricing. There's no other discount code available for digital TCO. Give it to you at the low rate that Protrusive listeners get it for. If you want for this discount to auto apply, head over to protrusive.co.uk/notes. You'll know you're in the right place because at the top it will say, hey, you're getting the best discount because you're a Protrusive listener. And I promise you just need to check it out. And I promise you, once you get stuck in, you'll drastically save time. So monthly fee is actually really cheap considering how many hours you will save every day, every week, every month. Also, if you write letters to your patients, it's just brilliant for that. Now, there are some more nuances and stuff, so come and join us on the app to discuss that. But I highly encourage you to make this the year that you make the jump to AI notes, and you're still in control. You still check the notes, you still edit and stuff, but now at least you've got everything down seamlessly without your nurse stressing about getting everything down and without you having to stress. It allows you to give your everything to the patient. That's protrusive.co.uk/notes. This is an affiliate partnership with Digital CCO, but if you prefer to pay full price, be my guest. But if you want the discount, which is the affiliate link, head over to protrusive.co.uk/notes. Let's get back to the episode.
Like we use, using Plod, which is like the lower tier, but the one that's pushing a lot of the big changes. And it's just a recorder device. That's it. That tags into ChatGPT. We're using AI in the X-rays, which you talked about, Overjet. And then we're also using for phone calls. It's all about training, right? How do we calibrate our team? Which is, there's two types of training: active training and on-the-job training. Which is the one that's going to give you the best results? It's going to be the active training, like not waiting for somebody to learn the ways of the office within 3 years, which could be sitting by Becky that has terrible mannerisms, terrible office culture, and this is the person that's training. No, we need to scale that. So one of the things we do is we use AI for phone calls. It's called Patient Prism, and we have it pretty much set up where how you greet a call, how you answer, like what are you saying, and it basically will rate each communication and give positive feedback, negative feedback, loops of how you change things, and then
and
be like,
suggestions, right? Like to what to do
Yes.
next time. Okay.
Yes, and suggestions. And we use this just for new patients, not for every single patient. That would just, we see about 600 patients a month. That'd be a little overload. So that way, then they can look back at it and be like, oh, you know what? Because at the end of the day, we all go back to our reset. And our reset takes time to reset. It takes about 6 to 9 weeks consistent to build a great foundation. But until that foundation is set like a rock, it breaks down. So you're always like resetting every 6 weeks. So it will be, and we see that with the recordings every 6 weeks, or the suggestions, they start changing. Okay, we've started connecting with the patient here, but then we forgot to do this tangible actionable item, like, hey, let's get your email, or let's book a text appointment. You get so caught up on certain things. Okay, I'm gonna get your insurance, and I'll call back like, oh, that was a big mistake there. Let's start changing little things. So the beauty of it is, one of the biggest things with offices is we have so many people doing so many different things, but how can we get accountability of everything that's being done? And that's where AI now becomes that little backdoor pocket that's very helpful. And it also allows us to help all the office practice managers because at the end of the day, what do we bring in an office manager? We as the doctors and the owners are seeing patients. And if we're not, we're training associates, or we're training our team so that way we could scale them so they can grow and help us, right? We can't be everywhere at once. And that's what doctors try to do. So getting a good trainable practice manager you can scale them up to what you consider to be an office manager. Not somebody come in and change their office to what they want it to be when your goal is XYZ. So part of that is like aligning. We use, so going back to the Plod, every coaching scenario that I do with our office manager, record. And then we go back onto it. Every time she has a coaching moment, she records it. And then we come back and we sit down, because at the same time, trying to scale her so she could scale the team. And it's allowed us in a short amount of time, just where she's now had more chance to delegate her own things instead of leveraging me and like, hey, how would I handle this? How would I do this? So instead of waiting for all of the different nuances to come about, in a shorter time, we can hash out several different problems and be like, okay, this is based on this person's personality. This would be the best way to approach it based on your personality as well, based on all the stuff we've saved, which just allows us to scale our HR drastically.
Well, what that does, David, I'm sure you already do this, but the way you use, again, that data is you can create SOPs, right?
Yes.
Playbooks, right?
Yep.
And then you then, in terms of future hires, you've already got your data rich already, and they can just jump in and align with the values of your practice, because you already have that rich data of how you do things, because you've been recording that. And it's something I've been doing recently, listen to a book, Buy Back Your Time. Have you fantastic.
I've heard about it. I haven't read it yet. It's on the long list of books to read. Like my wife is like,
bump that up in the rank, man. That one's amazing. And so one of the quadrants it talks about in terms of leverage is one is the delegation corner. Yes, there's so much we could be delegating, but replace. Sometimes you know that there's something that David, you do something the best. You seeing patients and doing comprehensive care might be the best thing for your business. But if you're stuck being a manager, a supervisor, and all those other things, a bit like the E-Myth revisited, being the manager, being the entrepreneur, being the technician, right? So what it allows you to do is it allows you to replace you, because you've now done Loom videos, you've done Plowed, you've done all these things. You've now got a record of how someone can, what would David do? They know how you do it.
So you just said, the synopsis you put there was amazing. Yeah. The reason why I'm saying this is because we do exactly what you're talking about. We've collected so much data that our onboarding is literally data, Loom video on how to do it, data, Loom video on how to do it. Our whole office is QR codes everywhere for when people enroll, come on, and you want to learn how to do something, especially since we work with our the local schools near us for students. I mean, half of my team is come from the schools, where it's when they come in, be like, okay, here's your packet. Aren't I assisting? No, here's your packet. You need to go through all these different areas and learn what all these different things is. This is our assistant SOP. So that way you know how each cassette is put together. You know what's disposable and what's not. And then at the same time, you know where everything is. So start going and watching all these videos. And every time they watch it, we're like, click, click, click. We see it going through, checklist, a digital checklist goes through. And then we're able to be like, okay, where does X go? Because I always say when the students come in, it's first to get it is the first to want it. Or excuse me, the first to want it is the first to get it, it's the first to assist. That's it. This way, patient's care is everything. And we do things very differently here. It's all patient-centric. Some places it's just drill, fill, pill. When you're trying to put, a Ritz-Carlton level of experience for the patients, that they're changing their mindset, just like all of us are trying to do really. At this level, that if we're listening to these podcasts, we're trying to do next level dentistry, which means next level experiences. That means you have to protect that. So you have to train that from the get-go, because nobody has. Think of right now, I don't know how it is where you are, but here, customer service, there is no such thing. Because nobody has to work for their tip. They just, you go to a coffee shop and before you even pay, they're already flipping over and be like, go ahead and sign there, please. And it's already highlighted at 20% tip. Be like, yeah, I'm going to flip this back and put no on that. I just came to, I walked here and I just would like the cup to put my coffee in. I'm not going to give you a 20% tip for that. So it's just one of these, another tool to help train. And actually with the Loom videos, a little tip I would give to all the doctors here. Set up a system with your treatment plan coordinators or your patient care coordinator, whoever is the one that presents. When patients are stumbled and there's a lot of complexity, make them a Loom. Make them a personal Loom video and send it to them. If it's a smile consultation, make it and put the smile consultation in it. Do a little a smile mock-up real fast. You will see a rapid enrollment. We do a lot of aligner cases here.
100%.
So when patients get to the aligner section, after we call the 4 phases of health, phase 1 is gums, phase 2 is fillings, phase 3 is alignment, phase 4 is implants, and we break it down for that understanding for the patient. Once they get to phase 3, they're usually like, what do I do? And then, all right, well, they didn't enroll. I'll send them the video. My team follows through. They're right back at it. Why? Because they're getting the value once again. And we did that whole arc. And now because you made the doctor is sending them a personal video with all of their information, their photos, looking at their CT scan and everything. That is the pinnacle of healthcare. So right away.
They love that, David. When I've done it, when I've cycled through their photos, be it intraoral or DS2, and just talk over it and say, hey, it's so good to see you. This was the issue. So based on your goals, here's the recommendations. Here's what it looks like on someone else. You're showing them examples or social proof. I agree with you. Loom, not only for SOPs, but in terms of a wonderful way to communicate to patients. And the thing is, patients, when you tell them everything at the chair, and you put it in writing, those are 2 different mediums. They forget what they told them in the chair.
Oh, without doubt.
Some people don't resonate with what's written. Some personalities do, obviously. Whereas when you do this video, they're immediately able to show their spouse. They're able to show their cousin. And then people are like, oh, wow, this is so cool. My dentist doesn't do that. It already sets you apart.
And at the end of the day, you just said it, speaking to the spouse. When you have a very, you have a very strong family unit, every family unit is going to have a cost, a fund, a number amount that they will have to speak to their fellow partner before they say yes. Me and my wife have our number. And I don't care what people say, there's always something. Because if not, then
100%.
They really don't have a marriage. It's 2 different people living 2 different lives. And it's just
totally
Instagram.
Agree.
So when you're seeing that many patients, right away, okay. And there's a hesitant, hey, look, why don't we either A, schedule you to come in with your spouse, or you know what? Let's make you something special. This way, because when you're going to go home, There's going to be so much data we've talked about, and we really want to highlight what are the key things that you came in talking about. The confidence in being able to chew and eat, not being afraid of something breaking one day when you're out, like it's happened to you, and highlighting like the key pain points. So that way, when we're doing the presentation, we're always reconnecting the patient onto the emotional connection that brought them in, which was either something broke and they were afraid of it, or they saw something happen and they don't want that to happen to them. So when you do that, not just like the whole thing is not to just make a video and be like, hey, Jazz, this is what's going on. And yeah, if you just straighten it out, we'll be good. All right. Catch you. No. Hey, Jazz, listen, I really want to send this out because this way you can review everything we talked about. One of the key points that really stood out to me was how you really want to maintain that confident smile. And you have this fear of your teeth breaking, especially when we showed you these cracks, and fear of how that one time when you're eating some soup, all of a sudden that tooth broke. Well, look, because of the misalignment, teeth aren't functioning properly because they're not fitting properly. If we do that and put them in the right place, they still have a chance of breaking. They always will. But now it's like car tires. You buy tires to get 40,000 miles out of them. If they are aligned and you don't race, you can get 40,000 miles. But if they're misaligned, you won't get that life out of it. Same thing with teeth. Like you get that emotional connection, the storytelling with it. You're giving that, the
analogies. Your analogy is
thank you. So that's the whole idea. So using all these different things and plus having these videos, it's a great, it's a backup or training program for treatment plan presenters, future associates. Now you have all this data that when you bring somebody else into your practice, look, this is what didn't enroll. This is what enrolled. This level of connection, this level of disconnection. This is what's helped. So it's having these different programs sounds like a lot of work, but it just helps build the business because now you have something to stand on because Pearson's law simply states a very important thing. Data that's measured, data that's quantified is data that changes. It's all about data, not about feeling.
You've done a really lovely overview and very impressed with the way that you run your practice. I think there's a lot of inspiration, a lot of nuggets. I think very few percentage of our listeners are operating at that level. And I think some will be inspired to take action. Some will be inspired to just look at their current processes and audit and reevaluate and think, where are they missing the data? So I think there's so many takeaways. And of course, you mentioned the software such as Overjet, how you're using cloud and ChatGPT. I think there's enough to take away for everyone here. So that was fantastic. Two things I want to ask you. The second thing I'll ask you is how we can learn more from you. Tell us more about your podcast, etc., and all that kind of stuff. But the first question I want to ask you is, a lot of colleagues, probably the number one question we get when we talk about AI is this, I know in the States you have HIPAA, here we have GDPR, etc. Is this halal? Is this kosher? Is this HIPAA? Is this everything? How do we manage this data security minefield?
So it's the same thing like DS Core. DS Core is the same thing like Ivaclar, where everything goes up into the cloud. All of these proprietary ones are protected. It's like Grok. Grok gets so much proprietary information. It is a protected. So one of the things is like your information you're putting in, you're not putting in all of the patient's information. So it's not getting social security. It's not getting full names. It's not getting all this data. So it is protected. Now, what I recommend going into AI and putting all of your patient's information, no. At the end of the day, we're always just using first names. So that's one thing right away. That just, boom, ChatGPT, you are good. When it comes to using AI like Overjet and all these things, all that stuff's protected. Same thing with like patient prison. Like if they get hacked, first off, they're the ones that are going to, you are signing up with them. So there's a big disclaimer on the bottom that like it's all protected and everything. And if not, then it falls right back onto them. So it's one of those things like who you're signing up with, depending on what you're doing, do the due diligence on data protection. So that way you are protected, especially here in the States, man. You don't want to mess with that.
It's very strict there. I agree from speaking to my colleagues. And so, David, how can we learn more from you? I've really enjoyed your style of presentation. Your communication skills are fantastic in terms of what you have to teach and share. I think it's very inspirational for those people who are struggling. I mean, I hate the word convert, but storytelling. People who are, some dentists are struggling, they blurt out the diagnosis and they talk to the patient like they're a dentist. That's like the biggest sin. But the way few examples you gave were absolutely wonderful. How can we learn more from you, my friend?
Yeah, definitely. So first off, I am a Bulletproof coach with Mastermind. So it's going to be the Bulletproof Podcast Mastermind. I'm on a couple of their podcasts as well. You could reach out through there or you could join our group. I'm on their website all the time answering questions. So I'm pretty much there all the time, just spitballing different ideas. So if you join their group page, just go to their website, Bulletproof Mastermind Podcast, and then you could join their page and always talking there. You could follow me on Instagram, which is going to be Midtown Dental FL. I'm always on there. I run our office Instagram and social media and everything. So always connecting with people. I just do it because I love helping people. That's the thing. They were there to help me because 3 years ago, I was all clinical. E-Myth and the right books, being with around the right group, changes that. I don't have my own podcast. I jump on different podcasts to spread information just because the idea is we subject ourselves to this lone wolf mentality. And the more we unite, we can protect ourselves, protect our patients, and at the same time, protect ourselves from burnout. It's one of the biggest things that happens with dentists. And that's one of my goals is to really help change that.
Well, it was an absolute pleasure to share your messages and your experiences and all the different wonderful, innovative ways that you're using AI. Thank you for bringing value to the thousands of Protrusive. And from us, thank you very much, David.
Thanks, Jazz. Have a great one, man, guy.
Thank you.
Well, there we have it, guys. Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end. Now is the time to look at AI, look at all the softwares that Dr. Amador discussed. Hopefully, he was giving you some ideas on different clever uses of AI. Do not be afraid. Be careful. Be judicious, but do not be afraid. It can really save you a lot of hours, my friends. This episode is about record keeping and therefore it's eligible for CPD and CE credits. We are a PACE-approved education provider. Make sure you're watching this on Protrusive Guidance, our platform. Scroll down and answer the quiz. If you're not already in our community, head over to protrusive.app. You're going to absolutely love it there. It's our little Protrusive family, the nicest and geekiest dentists in the world. If you enjoy our podcast, make sure you've hit that subscribe button and I will catch you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.